Hey guys, 65 Ford here. I got a new project going on. Thought I'd bring you guys in my garage. So what I got is a 55-gallon drum here. And what I'm going to build is, I've already built what I call a sawdust rocket stove, and I have a couple other videos. Anyway, those are more outdoor stoves meant to cook or something to that effect. I'm actually going to build a version so you can actually heat your house, your cabin, something to that effect, your garage, your shop. It's going to be contained. So you're going to have a sawdust rocket stove that's contained inside of a barrel that has a chimney and everything to that effect, so you can burn things like sawdust, corn husks, and other fine material that you normally wouldn't be able to burn and heat your house. So let's go over it. First thing is, we start off with a 55-gallon drum, and this is there's two different types mainly. That there's one with a removable lid, which is what you want for. This is the most preferred one because that allows you to be able to access it, because this lid needs to be removed and able to add more fuel to the fire. So you want a barrel with a removable lid, and then you need a second barrel that you need to cut up. So I've taken a 55-gallon drum, I've cut off the top, I cut off the bottom about 3 inches on each side, and then I cut out a gap. Now what I'm going to do is take some ratcheting straps, pull that in, and then re-weld it, and then weld the bottom back on, and then I have a drum, an internal burn chamber, the exact size I need. One together actually pretty round. I can still tweak it a little bit, and then I will just butt join it. I put a piece of flat steel on each side of a pair of vice grips so that, because the joint wants to come together. Not smooth, but if you put a flat piece there, it'll get a nice, round to it. So I'll start welding that down. We'll go from there. It's all welded up. I just took the old bottom and I just set it on there, and I just tacked it around, and now I'll just cut out my bottom. So it is attached to the bottom right now, but I'll just cut it out and then finish welding it. There we go. That actually took quite a bit of time. That took me a couple hours to just get to here. So on the bottom, got the bottom all welded on. I made it a little bit bigger, and then I hammered it around. I mean, if you can find a 30-gallon drum, you're better off to do that. I measured this one out, and I ended up with like 28 some odd gallons. So this is the same size as a 30-gallon drum. Then I put some standoffs on the bottom, and then I cut a 3-inch round hole in the bottom. And then I put some handles on the top, because this piece, it'll make sense later, but this piece actually gets pulled in and out. So now I got my 55-gallon barrel tipped on its side, and I need to cut an access door down here. There needs to be a door. So I'm going to take this scrap piece that I already cut out. I'm going to start with this, because this already has the same bevel, and you'll see what I'm doing. And I'm going to cut out this piece, and this is going to be my door. We've got this panel all cut out. And before we cut the opening here, we're going to put this over, and then I'm going to put the hinges on. And one of the reasons I'm going to put this on before is if you just cut a hole out of an opening, then you're always going to have, if you use a 16th-inch blade, you're going to have a 16th-inch gap all the way around. You always have a gap. But if you do it this way, if you take another piece and put it over, and then I cut, inside here, a smaller door, then I have a lip that overlaps, so this will overlap all the way around by an inch or so, and it'll actually seal tight. These are my hinges. Really basic. It's just a piece of flat steel with the bottom cut, top rounded, and just a hole drilled in. 2 identical pieces that I just put a little hole, put a little bolt through, and these will actually just get welded to the door, to the barrel, just like so, and they allow the door to open and swing out further than, say, a flush mounted hinge. Either way, these are just what I like to make. I just make them 100% from scratch. So because this is a thinner piece of material, what I did is I cut out a rib from the scrap piece from the other barrel right here, and because it goes up at an angle, this is really stiff. And then afterwards, I will just weld this to that, and then this door will become extremely, extremely rigid. There we go. So it overlaps probably about 2.5, 3 inches on the ends, and probably about 1.25 inches top and bottom. And that's what I wanted. That gives me my hole, you know, to access. You'll see how it works. Got that all welded on. Now we got a latch welded on. So that whole thing will open. And then it'll latch. And this is adjustable, so it can pull tighter or looser. Now this is probably way more complicated than it needs to be. This is just a hole, just welded on there and braced so it doesn't just bend the metal over. This right here is just a piece of rod that comes in. Then another piece is welded onto it like a T, and that went through, and then there's just a washer welded on each side so it can rotate. But then there's also a slight bend in it right here. Okay? And this is just a bolt right here, but it also has a bend in it up. And then there's a nut, and the tips of the nuts are welded to these washers, so that also rotates. And by having a bend in here and a bend in here, the bolt like this, and the this little rod like this, when they actually go a little bit further than past, so they actually are almost loosening, but it holds it. So when it goes, it's tightening, then all of a sudden it just loosens, it grabs. So right there is probably about the equal point where they're pulling against each other, but then it latches and locks itself. And if you need to tighten it because there's a nut welded in there, you can just rotate the whole assembly, one turn. Now it's even tighter. But the way I did that, you can see the gap. There is none. All the way around, nice and tight. So it's a great seal. Open it up, there's a hole. Guys, well that's it for tonight. I'm gonna head in. I'll put up another segment here in the next day or so with the rest of the progress. Hopefully tomorrow morning I'm gonna start on this again. If you did want to see what the kind of what the inside looks like, what the Sawdust rocket stove, I'll put the link to it right here, and you guys can watch it right now. Hey, if you haven't already, leave me a comment below, and thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed. Thanks guys, see you soon. Bye.